part of our course requirements for INST 6137 at U of H Clear Lake. I'm Carrie Ann, and joining me is Samina. Hi, Samina.
Hi.
So this time we are going to be talking about the INACOL standards C and D in relationship to the MOOCs that we've been participating in. So standard C, if we can, do you have a shot of that, Samina?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay. So standard C talks about planning, designing, and incorporating strategies for active learning, application, interaction, there we go, participation and collaboration in the online environment. So I personally just briefly found this standard to be actually pretty applicable to 2 out of the 3 of my MOOCs so far. What about you, Samina?
Well, 2 out of 3 of my MOOCs were self-paced, so I had a difficult time applying this to the self-paced MOOCs, but as far as the weekly MOOC, this was actually perfect. Standard C fit a lot of the points that it talks about, the group interaction, community, differentiated instruction, student-centered approach. All of that I found that were more in the weekly courses versus in the self-paced courses. It was just a pre-recording, and I just had to go through and take it at my own pace.
Yeah. For one of my MOOCs in particular, I found that a lot of the creation of the environment and really the different types of strategies, instructional strategies, were really, really present. Even though it was a MOOC, it definitely wasn't like a person teaching you, but just the way the environment was created. When I looked at these kind of pieces of the standard, I was actually pretty impressed for it being a MOOC. Just because up until this point, my experience with the MOOCs and the standards has been bad.
And what do you think about Standard D? Standard D also has, I thought it was pretty applicable to also this time. So what do you think?
For me, actually, setting clear expectations was pretty straightforward. There were things that were written that I had to read and that talked about how to engage in some of the discussion boards or like how to actually learn something from the MOOC. But the prompt responses and regular feedback piece, in my experience in the MOOCs that I'm in, has been basically non-existent. Actually, one of the MOOCs, the better of my 3 MOOCs, the professor's language specifically says there are a lot of people in this class, and while I'd love to talk to every one of you in person, there's just no way I could ever do that, so talk to each other, basically. So, I mean, I kind of understand that, since the letters of MOOC spell out massive open online course, so there's bound to be tons and tons of people in it. I don't know how Standard D could ever really apply well to a MOOC.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I found the same thing. Even though I do get emails, they're more generic type emails about and posted on the discussion board, but it's usually not the instructor providing the feedback or the answers. It's usually another student, or if there's a specific TA in the group, and the TA, I haven't really seen the TA to be real active either. So that's the only time I've really seen the communication. But as far as one of the MOOCs that I'm taking, the instructor has organized a group, and in the group is where we all communicate back and forth with each other. And again, they're not the critical type of communication. They're just more like, yes, I have this information, or yes, I thought about this, but it's not this sort of interaction that, where you have that critical feedback.
Yeah, especially from a professor. I definitely have seen a little bit of that in a second one of my MOOCs that's kind of the middle one as far as quality. So it's like, okay, you have this problem and everybody kind of shares their problem, and then you're supposed to help work through the problems, but there's not a professor or a teacher kind of interjecting in there to make sure everyone's on the right track as far as identifying the problem,
Right. And I would imagine that it would be hard for anyone who is already struggling to take classes online, or if they don't have the means to be able to get that additional support, they probably can't turn to a MOOC because it would not apply to struggling learners. You would really have to be proficient at knowing what you're doing in order to be a MOOC learner, I believe. So,
Yeah, or really super motivated, so that
exactly.
if what you are needing is not in the course, you have the time and the resources and the motivation to go outside, onto the internet, other sites, and look for that information or help.
Right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
one last point I just wanted to mention was the assessment. And while most of the MOOCs do have quizzes, um, type of quizzes that really sort of promote higher thinking or higher level reasoning, they're just more like understanding or checking for information.
Mm-hmm.
So really not something that I can, say that, okay, I can apply this, or it's really brought a new sense of understanding or learning. Like, okay, you read this, so it's just a basic way of checking to see that you have read through the material.
Right. And that you're kind of keeping pace with the rest of the students.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
So that's all I have. Did you have anything to add?
Nope, that's good. So,
All right. Okay, well, this is our third MOOC, and we will have one more MOOC next time. So until then, we will see you next time. Thank you for joining.
bye
Bye-bye.
bye.